Hello friends, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like the videos. Thank you for your support. It's not just a design exercise. It's not just a technology demonstrator. As a brand, we want to send out the message that there's an optimistic future. That's how Jaekeun Yoo, one of the members of the Hyundai N brand's bright and enthusiastic management team, sums up the Hyundai RN22e. Yoo says this swoopy, muscular track rat based on the forthcoming Hyundai Ioniq 6 shows EVs don't mean Armageddon for true performance fans. Seeing what's available and what's possible, we don't agree with that perspective, he says. We think we can deliver a really exciting product in terms of EV performance. And after a stint behind the wheel of Hyundai's hottest EV, we're inclined to agree. The RN22e is an interesting take on the idea of a performance EV. More important, it's a hoot to drive. The RN22e is one of Hyundai's rolling lab cars. Just like the hyper-hot Vision 74 concept we also drove. A fully drivable concept designed to test ideas and technologies destined to appear in future Hyundai models. In the short term, the RN22e is being used to prove out some of the hardware that will be used in the Ioniq 6-based car Hyundai will enter in next year's e-touring car World Cup race series. The Ioniq 6 racer will replace the Veloster N-based hatch Hyundai currently campaigns in the series and will mark the motorsport debut of the company's bespoke EGMP electric vehicle hardware. In fact, Hyundai N brand boss Till Wardenberg says, the Ioniq 6 racer means Hyundai will be the first automaker in the world to run a car built on a bespoke BEV architecture in the series. More significant, learnings from the RN22e will also be baked into the first production performance EV coming from Hyundai, the Ioniq 5N, which is scheduled to make its debut in 2023. We've hinted the dual-motor Ioniq 5N will pack more than 500 horsepower, and based on what we've seen of the RN22e, that's pretty much a given. But if our drive of the RN22e at the Bilsterberg track in northern Germany is any guide, the Ioniq 5N promises to not only be a fast electric vehicle but also an electric vehicle that's fun to drive fast. The RN22e's dual-motor powertrain packs a total of 576 horsepower and 546 pound-feet of torque, and it's fed by a 77.4 kWh battery. The same capacity is available in the Ioniq 5. The output split between the two motors is asymmetrical. The rear motor alone produces 362 horsepower, more than the total output of the regular dual-motor Ioniq 5, while the front motor makes 214 horsepower. Hyundai says the motors now spin to more than 20,000 revolutions per minute, up from 15,000 revolutions per minute, to deliver a higher top speed. The front-to-rear power distribution technology already available in EGMP-based Hyundais such as the Ioniq 5 has been further developed, using experience gained from Hyundai's World Rally cars. To enable quicker switching between all and rear-wheel drive, there's also a torque vectoring system on the rear motor that uses clutches to individually adjust the torque distribution to the left and right rear wheels. The RN22e feels decidedly tail-happy on our first hot laps at Bilsterberg, despite the car's 50-50 weight distribution. Lift off on corner entry, and the rear end immediately starts to come around. Get on the power midway through a fast sweeper, and it's the same story. Fortunately, the transitions are benign, and the car telegraphs its punches well. It doesn't take long to get used to using the prompt lift-off rotation to get the Hyundai into the corners and then using the accelerator to control the slip angles through them. That's not the quickest way around a racetrack, of course, and N engineers say that if you want to chase the ultimate lap time, a more balanced, higher grip chassis setup is only a software change away. But the RN22e was set up deliberately to be something of a show-off drift king. To prove an EV can make you smile behind the wheel. In an era when many EVs feel stolidly one-dimensional in terms of their dynamics, the RN22e's chassis is remarkably receptive to driver inputs. We started our laps with the region in the highest setting, which is what the Hyundai N test driver used on his demonstration laps. This helped load the front axle on lift-off and initiate rotation on turn-in, but we found lower region allowed for more nuanced adjustments with the accelerator, making the car feel more balanced through fast corners. The corollary of that, of course, is you tend to work the brakes harder to cope. The RN22e uses high-performance friction material pads in 4-piston monoblock calipers that clamp big 15.8-inch rotors front and rear. The Hyundai stops well, with decently consistent feel and good stability. N engineers say they're still working on the region braking technology to tune it further so drivers can attack corners faster and more aggressively. That's why this car is a rolling lab. Another technology under test in the RN22e is a battery preconditioning system. Battery temperature hugely affects an EV's performance. So the RN22e's system raises the battery temperature to the optimal level to maximize performance before track driving, then lowers it to enable fast charging using EGMP's 800-volt architecture. As a result, the RN22e's battery can be taken from a 10% charge to 80% in just 18 minutes. To help make thermal management of the battery even more efficient, the electric motor and battery have independent cooling systems, both fed by the wider intake at the front of the car. Wardenberg says high performance emotionalizes cars and people. But making an EV as emotional as an ICE high-performance vehicle is a challenge. The entire industry is thinking about this question, he says. Our answer is to keep the same characteristics as in ICE vehicles. To the point, the RN22e features a simulated gearshift mode and simulated engine noise. The latter played through both internal and external speakers. From behind the wheel, the engine noise is surprisingly convincing, rising and falling in conjunction with the fake gear shifts, which are actuated via paddles just as they would be in a conventional car with a dual-clutch transmission. Driven with these systems on, the RN22e sounds every bit as growly and muscly as a bad boy ICE performance car. The simulated gearshift mode doesn't make you go quicker, though. In fact, it's slower on the track. Not least because the power and torque outputs from the motors are cut to give the sensation you're shifting gears. But it does feel reasonably realistic. And you have to pay attention to shift points to be as quick as possible, just as you do in a real dual-clutch car. Fake shifts and fake noise are certainly gimmicks, but arguably no more so than putting a clutch pedal and 7-speed stick shift in a Porsche 911 when a PDK dual-clutch transmission is quicker and more efficient. Hyundai's little tricks here are neat, and they definitely up the engagement for drivers who want sound with the fury that comes from a big horsepower, high-torque EV. That's what the Hyundai RN22e is all about. It's meant to be fun, to convince established enthusiasts and reassure future enthusiasts alike that EVs don't mean performance car Armageddon is upon us.